Hey everybody, Kevin Lucas with New Hope Regeneration, and today I have a super special guest on the New Hope podcast, one of our dear friends and one of our partners, and just amazing human beings, and one of the coolest cool kids that you could ever meet, BMac. Man, how is your day today?
Hey, so far so good.
So far, so good.
Nothing is burned down yet, so things are going pretty well.
You're putting them fires out pretty high. Well, hey, we're on a countdown. What are we on a countdown towards, my friend?
PGF season 7, November 3rd, the draft.
November
So
3rd, the draft. I can't wait. I just got my plane tickets. I'm actually going to be up doing some stem cell work up in our Spokane office, and then I'm flying right down. My team's coming in. And the cool thing about this season is that New Hope gets to be how we get to have our own team of athletes, and so this draft is. I'm a little nervous after watching how it went and the wheeling and dealing and the sliding and the hustling. I'm excited to see how it's going to go and who I'm going to be able to get on my team.
the draft is like one of the most fun parts for me, at least.
Yeah,
Because there's nothing else like it. Like there's plenty of places to watch jiu-jitsu matches. Obviously, the PGF is like a much different form of just watching jiu-jitsu matches, but there's
right.
nothing else in combat sports, not just jiu-jitsu, any
Yeah,
combat sport.
at
There's
all.
nothing else like the draft. So yeah, it's pretty tense,
Yeah.
but it's so much fun.
Now, I want to make sure we're not being unfair. But what do you have any advice? I mean, I kind of have my list of guys, which I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want the competition to work on trying to maybe steal or come around the backside and snag who I'm hoping to. I kind of feel like it's like, the pawn shops stars, like when they roll in and they're like, okay, I want to get $100 for this, and no, I'm going to give you only 50. So then you like say I want $500 for it, so you get more of what you want. I feel like there's going to be some of that wheeling and dealing going on.
There's definitely going to be a lot of that. The main advice is don't blow all your money on your first guy. See, the way that we've done it in the past is we bring the athletes up in order, like in rank order. So
Right,
like here's the projected number 1 all the way down through the projected number 20.
right.
This season, for the first time, they're coming up randomly.
Whoa.
So it's going to take a lot more strategy. You're going to have to
Yeah.
know the roster a lot better. You're going to have to put some thought into, like some serious thought into how this is going to play out. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, watching the draft last year, I was sitting there and dudes were just like, I mean, it just kept going higher and higher, and then everybody's like, well, we have like $5 left to get the next guy, so so what do we do? So having this randomization with it versus the ranking orders, I think that's going to really be a big shift in that whole process.
yeah, it's going to put a lot more strategy into it. It's going to force you to know the roster.
Yeah,
So you'll get paired. We got 4 incredible, legendary coaches coming in this season: Pedro Sauer, Carlos Machado, both coral belts.
right.
Like their lineage goes as deep as you can go.
As deep as you can get.
You got Dean Lister, multiple time ADCC champion. He's been in and won in every fighting organization on the planet, including the UFC. Like, just incredible. And then the greatest jiu-jitsu player of all time, 10-time world champion, Gracie. So
Right,
one of those 4 guys will be seated beside you, not just for the draft, but all week. So
right.
you're going to be in good company trying to figure out how to
Yeah,
play the
it's
draft.
going to be awesome. It last year it was so cool getting to watch the different coaches' styles. Because just like jujitsu, like there's different styles. Each of us have our own way that we roll, and but coaching is the same. So getting to watch how all of the coaches interacted with their athletes, how animated some of them got, and I mean, I my team is just so excited to come out and experience this, and we can't wait to participate at the level that we get to this season for season 7, lucky number 7.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. You were there for season 5 before the big blow up.
Before the big blow up, Decatur.
You were there for season 6 at the first blow up,
Yep.
and then you're going to be a huge part of season 7 for the real blow up. So
Yeah.
thanks,
We're
man.
we're
We really
and
appreciate
it's
it.
been watching this evolution, and I've been trying to like trying to explain to people who haven't had PGF experience yet, because we've been going to some other, well-established promotions, the people who paved the way for, jiu-jitsu competitions in the United States. But when I came up to Decatur last October, right, we're almost a year now, because it was October, wasn't it? Season 5 was October.
Yeah.
I know dates are kind of a blur. We're all so busy and all over the planet. And watching the level of excitement, watching the no stalling, right? We're not going to show up to a jiu-jitsu promotion where some guy is just going to try to get his 2 points and then sit on him for the next 5 minutes to win the match.
Yeah, and for season 5, we had, because of the format, there's not that much stalling,
right?
Even in season 5, but that was before we put in our anti-stalling criteria and rules.
Right.
So season 6 pushed the action even harder. Season 7 is going to be, much faster paced. Faster paced. We did a lot of work in the off season. That was really kind of the part of season 6 that I was the least satisfied with, was just the officiating and the implementation of the rule set. It went well. I gave it a C+.
Okay.
But we did a lot of training and built a referee certification, the whole nine. So everything that's happened since season 6 has been focused on getting the officiating down to the most minute details, making sure that it's right and it's going to be executed the way that the founders, myself and Keelan, have really envisioned that.
Yeah, and it really just it's also been interesting for me too, because I'm newer in the jiu-jitsu world. I've trained martial arts my whole life. I was on the stand-up side, and coming into the jiu-jitsu world, watching these guys have to learn the rule set, right? Like learning, like, okay, so I was just at X event, now I'm at Y event, now I'm at PGF. Like watching them have to really think and pay attention to what's going on and not get stuck in some habits from some other promotions that could really be detrimental in their PGF performance.
Yeah, well, the rule set's completely different. The way to play the game is completely different, and we've seen that every single season. It's almost never, throughout 6 seasons of the PGF so far, it's almost never do the top 2 or 3 guys that are projected to be the top 2 or 3 guys, do they finish in the top 2 or 3? A lot of times the top, like season 6, for example, everybody was picking PJ Barch as your number 1.
Right.
For good reason. He was an ADCC semifinalist already coming into season 6. After season 6, he became a bronze medalist. Most people feel like he beat Mika Galval and that he should have gotten the gold medal at ADCC.
Right.
He's been on Fight Pass, Hanato Canuto, multiple-time world champion. These guys barely slipped into the playoffs in the PGF. The PGF is a whole different beast. There's a lot. Your strategy and your durability are a much bigger factor in the PGF than in any other organization. By
Absolutely. So even let's say we're at a IBJJF, right, and now that's exploded. We've been going to IBJJF for the last 4 years and watching Master Worlds and Jiu-Jitsu Con and a lot of these divisions and brackets. Now these guys have 5, 6, sometimes even 7 fights to get to gold, but having your 5 or 6 matches in a day compared to having to do 3 banger matches for 4 or 5 nights, in a row, if your team makes it to the finals and you win the individual opportunity through the playoffs, listening to the PGF fighters be like, bro, there's nothing like this, and this is hard.
Yeah, I really feel, we put the word professional in the name of the business and the organizations, the Professional Grappling Federation. I really feel like we're setting ourselves apart as the professional standard.
Right.
That everything else is getting to that level.
Right.
Like you can go win an 8-man bracket. But that's not the same thing.
It's literally not the same thing.
You can go win a 16-man bracket. That's not the same. You can go win the Worlds. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Can you perform day after day?
Right.
At the level that you expect yourself to perform at? And a lot of that, obviously strategy is a huge part of it. Obviously, the matchups and the schedule is a big part of it. But a big part of it is how do you live your life outside of BGF week? Are you taking care of yourself? What's your recovery look like? What's your diet look like? What do your
Right.
training habits look like? And then taking care of yourself during the week, recovering, being able to recover during the week, being able to get good rest during the week, having good habits, good daily routines. All those things are massively important. And those are things that a professional athlete has to worry about in any other sport that aren't necessarily as big of a factor traditionally in other jiu-jitsu events.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been involved with working with elite level athletes on the rehab and the recovery side for 27 years now. I was on a medical team for a major university that has a super successful top five basketball program. And what so many people don't understand, and I think fighters are finally starting to get there, but they can still be a little bit stubborn. That recovery piece is really everything. And so, how important this is when I was working at this university, they remodeled and created a new training facility. They spent an extra $500,000 to put in cold plunges and to put in a underwater treadmill so the athletes could recover after their competitions much faster. And these fighters are going to have to start making that a major part of what they're doing if they want to compete at that professional level, like you're saying.
And having a partnership with a company like yours, like New Hope Regeneration, is really, really important to us. Like, I want to build something, obviously, that is successful. Obviously, right? Nobody gets into any endeavor hoping it
Right.
doesn't work out. Like, so obviously, I
Right.
want to
Right.
build something successful. But to me, the idea of success is about building legacy and something that's going to be able to last forever for these athletes. And I feel like the sport of jujitsu just has never had an opportunity to be professional
Yeah.
and to be forced to learn these things about what it means to be a professional athlete, not just
Right.
from the physical side but from the media side, from the
Yeah.
how do you deal with your business. And so it's really important to me that we're building an infrastructure that sets us up for legacy, not just for myself
Right.
but for the athletes and for the fans and for the sport in general. So
Yeah, and
it's
I
super
love that
important.
so much. And for us, when we're looking for, one organizations to work with, it's the same. The fight world can still have a lot of the I'm gonna go to Vegas, I'm gonna get lit up, we're gonna do a bunch of dumb stuff on the other side of our competition that may or may not be legal or illegal or all these different things. And getting these young guys, which it's hard to do. I mean, I remember being 20 to 25 and my brain's just not working and I'm doing shit that we probably shouldn't be doing. But to step into a professional role, to have legacy, to have a name that people want to invest in, and have organizations that want to help support you in your career is vital. And one of the things that I really love about what you guys are doing is you're helping provide that mentorship and you're helping to provide that structure and you're teaching these younger guys like, hey, what is it going to take for you to operate at the highest level possible, not just go do some super fight at some random event and then go screw around and get yourself in serious trouble, right? And not take care of yourself emotionally, physically, and financially.
It's super important. I've been saying that jujitsu is ready, but the industry and the athletes are not ready. They're
Yeah.
not ready for the next level yet. And
Right.
so I view a lot of my responsibility is helping pull the industry, the infrastructure of jujitsu, and the athletes up to the next level. So,
Right.
when we're out looking for sponsors, we're sort of jumping past most of the jujitsu companies. Like this season, I really didn't even talk to too many jujitsu companies. I wanted to go and talk to some more like high level professional businesses like New Hope Regeneration, who have a vision for the long term. In your case, a vision for the long term health of the athletes.
Right.
And then, some of these other sponsors that we've picked up have a vision for the long term financial health of the athletes or the long term investment health of the athletes. So, to me, those things are really important. I'm trying to set something up that allows these guys to take their career and consequently the entire sport up to the next level to
Yeah.
where
It's a
where I know and I've always believed that we can be, which is ESPN, which
Yeah.
that's ultimately
Yeah.
where I'm going.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I'm on the road a lot like you are. We're in a lot of different, academies. Go to a lot of different fight events and promotions. And it really is fascinating to see, so like, let's say we're talking about football, right? You have, you can play high school, you can play college. And then if you don't make it through college in the NFL, there's really not a lot of other options left. But the fight world is a little different. Like, guys can stay in this grinder and this churn and burn system, but so many of these other promotions are, how do I just get through the weekend, right? How do I just get through the weekend? The fighter gets hurt, doesn't get hurt. Like, I'm not going to say that they don't care, but they're just on to the next person. And that's what really drew us to wanting to work with you is, I saw that vision in you as well. And for me, the way that we keep the fighters in the game is we keep them as well as healthy as possible. And there's nothing better than an athlete can do than stem cells, right? That is the mechanism that allows your body to heal. But it's more than just like, okay, great, now you have a little bit better recovery or this injury is better. How can we then position you to potentially take care of a family living this jiu-jitsu life? And as you said, so many other jiu-jitsu businesses or promotions don't really provide that foundation to allow that to happen. And PGF does, in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that. And I don't think it's that other organizations don't want to do that. Or they're just not set up to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So by setting ourselves up as a league structure, it gives us a chance to work with athletes on a much more extended basis.
Right.
This is a months long process. And then even just the gameplay itself is a week-long process.
Right.
Rather than a one-day process.
Yeah.
And so it gives us an opportunity to get to know these guys, to hear their stories, to understand their struggles, to go through the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat with these guys. And because of that, we get an opportunity to put different opportunities in front of them, like New Hope Regeneration or some of these other businesses that we're bringing in that are watching out for what the athletes long term, like what is their life going to look like on the other side of this. Because the last thing you want, I mean, I'm 44. I'm not an old man, but I'm an old man in terms of like jiu-jitsu goes.
Right.
But the last thing you want is to build this incredible physical skill set and then get so broken that you can't use it and do all the cool stuff. Like, I can do all this cool stuff, my knee doesn't work enough to do the cool stuff that I know how to do. Like, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that's what really, when I started getting involved in the jiu-jitsu world, we were having more and more professors being brought to us and saying like, hey, Kevin, like I got my coach. I think he really needs this. I'm a young guy. I don't need it yet, but, how can we get my coach taken care of? And then I learned that this 45 to 50-year-old, amazing leader and coach can't even teach fundamentals class 2 days a week because his body's so literally broken. And when people say, well, jiu-jitsu is not a real combat sport, I'm like, look, I train stand-up. If I'm standing up with someone, I can always find room to not get punched or kicked to a degree, right? Or if we're training consistently, I'm getting to wear pads and all these different things. But in jiu-jitsu, like, you could be rolling and you just destroyed your joint. Like, the joint is messed up and it's kind of messed up forever now. It's so different than the striking world. So for us, it's so fascinating getting to come in, getting to provide the opportunity for these people, these men and women, to get more well and healthy and to get a life back and build a life around jiu-jitsu. And now this last year in particular, I can't tell you how many new amazing partner academies where both a husband and wife are coaches. They both run the business together. Their kids are now starting to teach and coach the kids programs. So we're talking now 2 and 3 generations of jiu-jitsu family getting to run this amazing business together. And what I see that I think is the PGF is going to do is that, just like football, baseball, basketball, man, I get to go to a football game and I get to see my favorite athlete compete and I'm motivated and I want to become a professional athlete. I think the PGF is creating that same opportunity for the youth to say, I can get there, right? The fact that, at the Nashville event, there were families there where there were kiddos like watching their coaches competing to earn a spot in the qualifier to come to PGF season 7. And that's the kind of stuff that creates legacy. And so it's so cool getting to watch you guys put that into play.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I think developing the pipeline, so to speak, from amateur to pro is going to be a really important part of
Crucial. Yeah.
build that we have in the years that are coming. And so we've got good plans. We'll see how it all plays out, but I I fully expect to be running this whole game in the next 2 or 3 years, to be honest with you.
I love it. What we see you guys are doing is just at a other level. And again, talking with the athletes, they were like, "Man, I thought this was going to be easy. I'm going to come in and do my three. I train 10 rounds at my academy 5 nights a week. This is going to be easy." And they're like, and then you get someone that gets hurt, and then the alternate steps in, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna just toast that alternate. I remember last season, there were a couple of guys that thought they were just gonna blow through, Dane Leak. They're like, oh man, it's gonna be, and then he gave them a run for their money. It went the full length of time, and so when people have an idea, they think, I know how this match is gonna go, and I know how the night and the week is gonna go. All I can tell you is you don't know shit.
Speaking of Dane Leak, not only did he take some of these guys the distance, he won. He submitted.
Yeah.
He came in as an alternate, and he left with like $13,000 or something like
Right.
that in winnings. And that's one thing that I think the PGF. I feel like we kind of started this pay the athletes more. Not kind of. We totally started this pay the athletes more kind of movement that's popping up in jiu-jitsu now. There's a lot of
Right.
things that the PGF was the first mover and the innovator on, like the athlete pay, the put it out for free on YouTube. Nobody was doing that
Right.
when we started doing it. That was crazy. How are you going to make money as a promotion? But my feeling was that we'll make our money on the other side, and if I don't, at least the athletes will. But
Correct.
we'll get our money on the other side. I think like eyeballs are the currency that I'm after,
Right.
and the money will come. You
A
know,
100%.
I
Yeah.
just don't. I
And
don't think focusing on making money as an organization is really the first priority. Obviously, that has to happen. You got to pay your bills, right?
right.
But
Well, I mean,
that
if
stuff will
the
come.
athletes don't feel like they have a home, there's no legacy and funnel for them to want to come into. Right. And
Yeah.
so the fact that you're creating that, I mean, one of my, I mean, Travis is one of my favorites, but Cam Hurd, like watching the level of Cam whole, like from season 5 to season 6, and now like I'm following all of his stuff on Instagram, and just his skill set in the last 12 months has exploded, that I think he's going to be a real problem for a lot of dudes that think they're just going to blow through some of these guys this year, and I don't think that's going to be the case.
They talk about in fighting, especially like MMA or boxing, you get in there with a high level guy like the champion or somebody that's in the top five, you get the rub. And Cam Hurd got the rub during season 5, and he realized, like, in order for me to actually be a professional, I have to. So the PGF forced him, his experience with the
Right.
PGF forced him to elevate and try to become something that he wasn't. And yeah, he's doing a great job with that. And he's one of my favorite athletes that we have on the roster to work with. And there's a reason I keep bringing him back over and over.
Yeah, yeah, he's every time I've had a conversation with him, pulled him aside, super humble, super grateful, and appreciative, right? So, and this is a thing that, a lot of people don't realize. Like, as I get to go to all these different fight events and all these different promotions, what I found, and I think this is indicative of the leadership of you and your team, the gratitude that these guys have is unprecedented. There's some other events that we go to that, like, if I try to say, talk to an athlete, or man, great job, or whatever, and they're just ready to blow the popsicle stand and head out, and just like not have any interaction whatsoever, or more so have a really shitty attitude if things didn't go their way. But man, all like consistently, the PGF athletes, their behavior, what their gratitude and appreciation is just at another level, and it makes it amazing, and it makes you want to root for them. At least for me, because I tend to be I like to support the good guys side of the coin, but just the gratitude that these guys have for this opportunity is huge, and it makes it amazing to be around all of them.
Well, I think it rolls downhill. I think it's important to set culture, man. Uh, there's a guy named Peter Drucker. He said he was a CEO of one of the major automobile companies. I can't remember which one, so don't quote me. But he said culture eats strategy for breakfast. Like it really
Amen.
doesn't matter what your strategy is if nobody wants to be there and put in the hard work.
Yeah.
But if your culture is great and people are willing to put in the extra work and the hard work because they want to be there,
Right.
then it almost doesn't matter what your strategy is.
That's
You're going to
right.
get there eventually. You're going to refine your strategy over time.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
to
That's
me,
for sure.
that's super important. And I want to build everything culture first. And
Yeah.
our strategy will refine, our strategy will get better. I mean, nobody knows what the right way to do this is. Nobody's ever done it.
Right.
But I
Right.
do know the wrong way to do it is to have a bunch of ungrateful people like thrown into the mix. So I craft not just the staff and not just myself, but the actual athletes. They're hand selected. It's not an accident that these guys are here, and it's not an accident that some of the best guys in the world are not here. We're not in a contest to find out who the best guy in the world is. We're
Yeah.
in a contest to turn the sport into a real professional sport that's not just that can be on ESPN, but it's worthy of ESPN. That's going to bring ESPN to the table for us. It's going to bring
That's
major
right.
sponsors to the table for us because they want to work with these athletes and this staff and these coaches and this industry, this collective of jiu-jitsu. And I think once we've got enough eyeballs on this thing, it's going to be a no-brainer because it is the greatest sport in the world and it is the greatest industry in the world. And I think it's going to be a no-brainer. We just got to keep pointing people to it and giving them a
That's right.
reason to tune in.
Amen to that. Well, man, I'm super excited. We're counting the days. I can't wait to come down. I'm getting to bring some of our other team and the New Hope staff, and what a lot of people don't realize, like what makes New Hope different is that we're also all jujitsu through and through, right? Like most of my team members, even our nurses, are fight. One of our nurses, Nurse Amy, just won gold at Jiu-Jitsu Con
Oh,
the
no
other
way.
month, and she's coming, and so it's just, we're not just people kind of randomly haphazard doing stem cells because it was popular because, maybe Joe Rogan said, stem cells can help. Like our whole organization through and through are jujitsu fans or jujitsu. And some of us are more hobbyists than, competitors, but, we're there, we're in it, we love it, and we love seeing guys and gals live their dream.
Well, I really appreciate you not just for what you're doing for us this season, but for what you've been for us in the previous seasons as well. And I appreciate what you and New Hope have done for me personally, just outside of the PGF. New Hope's a service that I believe in. What you do is something that I have had personal, tremendous benefit from. And to be able to continue to work with you is a genuine pleasure. And I couldn't say thank you enough.
Well, it's our pleasure. We're excited. We can't wait. And man, we're going to see you in the flesh here in a couple of weeks. And I can't wait to go to that secret location. And that's really the cool thing too. Like when you're
Speakeasy.
like, "Hey, show up here," and I'm driving down the road. I'm like, "Where the hell is this place?" And man, welcome to Fight Club, right?
Yeah, hidden location, speakeasy as
That's
well.
right.
It's just
Awesome. Well,
fight.
I know you're crazy busy. You're super productive. I like using the word productive over busy because busy we could be spinning our wheels, but man, you are changing the fight game and in this jujitsu game, and we're just grateful to get to go down that journey with you, and I'm excited to help fighters heal faster so they can keep fighting longer, and let's get these guys living 15, 20-year careers as a professional athletes, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, can't wait. And looking forward to a long, fruitful relationship with New Hope.